Truth is hidden in the evidence. We just have to find it. Hello guys, welcome back to Case 23, where we decode forensic science. Today we are diving into one of the most crucial aspects of forensic science, that is evidence collection, where we will discuss its importance, methods, and challenges. So stay tuned till the end to learn how forensic experts gather crucial clues to crack cases. So here's what we have got lined up for this video. First, we will start with the introduction, where I will answer the question, what is evidence collection? Then, to set the stage, I will give you a quick overview of the types of evidences commonly found at crime scenes, so you will have a solid foundation before we dive into the actual collection methods. Next, we will go over some of the important rules and regulations that forensic experts must follow when handling evidences, because even the smallest mistake can compromise a case. Then comes the main event, the different evidence collection methods, where we will break down how forensic specialists collect and preserve crucial clues. Finally, we will wrap the video with a short but impactful conclusion. So, to kick things off, let me ask you a question. What is evidence collection? Well, evidence collection is the systematic process of identifying, gathering, preserving, and documenting different types of evidences from a crime scene. It plays a crucial role in forensic investigations, ensuring that key information is available for scientific analysis and legal proceedings. Let me give you an example. Well, I'm sure you have all heard of the famous CID show. So in the show, when a crime takes place, the CID personnel arrive at the scene, carefully put on their gloves, and begin searching for something. But have you ever wondered what actually are they looking for? Well, that something is evidence. So what is the importance of evidence collection in criminal investigations? It has n number of importance, but few of them are: first, it provides concrete proof to link suspects, victims, and crime scenes. It means that evidence helps determine whether a certain person was present at the crime scene during the commission of the crime. Second, now after the commission of a crime, the forensic expert must reconstruct the crime scene to understand the sequence of events. This helps in forming a clear storyline of what took place, and this aids in the criminal investigations. Third is, for example, after DNA analysis, the sequence matches a suspect's genetic profile in a known database. It can directly link them to the crime scene. This not only helps identify the suspect, but also serves as a strong evidence in the court, supporting a fair and legal process. Now, moving on to the next slide, let's take a quick look at the different types of evidences commonly found at a crime scene. First, we have physical evidences. These are tangible objects like weapons, fingerprints, or footprints that can directly link a suspect to a crime. For instance, a bloody knife found at a homicide scene serves as a strong physical evidence. Next, we have biological evidence, which includes organic materials such as blood, saliva, and DNA, often crucial for forensic identification. A great example would be hair strands or skin cells found under a victim's nails in assault cases, which can help identify the attacker. Then there is digital evidence, which plays a significant role in modern investigations. This can include call recordings, CCTV footages, suspicious emails, and deleted files, all of which can provide crucial insights into criminal activities. Next, we have chemical evidence, which consists of substances like drugs, toxins, and explosives that are analyzed in forensic labs. A classical example is poison detected in a homicide case, which can determine the cause of death and lead investigators to the perpetrator. Then the next type of evidences are trace evidences. These are tiny fragments of evidences, often invisible to the naked eye, and therefore they require specialized tools like magnifying glasses or microscopes for detection. Examples include fibers, gunpowder residues, and soil, which can transfer between the suspect and the victim, helping establish crucial connections in an investigation. Lastly, we have documentary evidences. Documentary evidence include written or recorded materials such as contracts officer records, or forged papers that serve as proof in legal cases. For example, a fake will presented in a fraud case can be examined to determine its authenticity and uncover deceptive intentions. Now moving on to the role of forensic experts, there are essential rules and regulations that must be followed whenever they enter a crime scene. The first and most crucial step is securing and identifying evidence. Now forensic experts must secure the crime scene immediately to prevent contamination and ensure that no evidence is disturbed or tampered with. They utilize alternative light sources, also known as ALS, or flashlights, or even forensic UV lights to identify trace evidences that may not be visible to the naked eye. Examples can be fingerprints, bodily fluids, or fibers. Alright, now let's talk about handling and collecting evidence. This is where forensic experts need to be extra careful. Firstly, they always wear disposable gloves made of latex or rubber and change them frequently to avoid contamination between different pieces of evidences. Imagine picking up an evidence with the same gloves. DNA could get mixed up, and that's a really big problem. For small or delicate evidences like fingerprints, fibers, or hairs, they use forceps, tweezers, lifting tape to collect it without damaging anything. And when it comes to biological evidences like blood or saliva, they always use sterile swabs to keep samples fresh and reliable for forensic testing. Now moving on to packaging and preservation. This step is all about ensuring that evidence stays intact and uncontaminated. Each piece of evidence must be packaged separately to prevent cross-contamination. For example, you wouldn't want DNA from one item mixing with the another. If an item contains bodily fluids or moisture, it's important to let it air dry first before sealing it. Otherwise, bacteria and mold can grow, which might degrade the evidence. Using the right container is also a crucial factor. So therefore, paper bags are usually used for biological evidences like blood-stained clothing to allow airflow, and whereas glass bottles are used for flammable liquids to prevent leakage or evaporation. Now let's talk about marking and documentation. This step is essential for keeping track of evidence and ensuring its credibility in court. Every piece of evidence must be properly labeled with important details like the officer's initials, the exact location where it was found, and the date of recovery. This helps in identifying and verifying evidence later. Next, maintaining the chain of custody is crucial. This means keeping a detailed record of everyone who handled the evidence from the moment it is collected until it reaches the courtroom. A break in this chain could lead to evidence being challenged or even dismissed in court. Lastly, forensic experts also collect reference or standard samples from the crime scene or individuals involved. These samples are used for comparison, such as matching a suspect's fingerprints with those found at the scene, or comparing soil samples from a suspect's shoes to the crime scene. Alright, now let's talk about one of the most iconic pieces of forensic evidence, that is fingerprints. Think about it, every time we touch something, we leave behind a little part of ourselves. Although invisible, but we leave our patterns that are unique to every individual. No two fingerprints are ever the same, not even in identical twins. And that's exactly why they are so valuable in forensic investigations. So how do we collect them? Well, it depends on where they are found. If a fingerprint is left on a smooth, non-porous surface like glass, metal or plastic, forensic experts use special powders like gray, black or even magnetic powder. The powder sticks to the fingerprint residue, making it visible. Then, using lifting tape, they carefully transfer the print onto a fingerprint card for analysis. But sometimes print don't lift easily. In those cases, high-quality forensic photography is used to capture every detail. Now what if the print is on a movable object like a knife or a phone? So instead of trying to lift the print at the scene, the entire object is carefully packed in a paper bag or envelopes and sent to the forensic lab for a detailed examination. Alright, now the next type of evidence is biological evidence. This can include blood, semen, saliva and any other bodily fluids. And trust me, this type of evidence can be a totally game changer in criminal investigations. Why? Because it holds DNA, which means it can identify suspects, link people to the crime scenes, or even prove someone's innocence. Now, how do forensic experts collect it? For bloodstains, if it's wet, they either cut off the stained fabric or swab it with sterile water if it's on a hard surface. But what if it's dry? Then they tape lift it, cut it out, swab it, or even scrape it off. But for pooled blood, this is collected using pipettes or sterile gauze to ensure sample stays intact. And in case of semen and saliva, these are collected using sterile swabs moistened with distilled water for better absorption. And if the saliva is on objects like cigarette butts, chewing gum, or drink cans, they are stored in breathable containers for analysis. Now here's where things get tricky. Handling biological evidences requires extreme care, and forensic experts need to remember certain rules to handle biological evidences. Rule number 1: never package multiple items together. This could cause cross-contamination and ruin the crucial evidences. Now the rule number 2 is always use breathable packaging like paper bags or boxes instead of plastic. Plastic can trap moisture, which leads to mold growth, and that can destroy the DNA in the sample. So as you can see, forensic experts have to be super careful while handling biological evidences. A single mistake could compromise the entire investigation. Alright, now moving on to the next type of crucial evidence, which is hair evidence. Now you might be wondering, how can a single strand of hair help solve a crime? Well, if the root sheath is attached, forensic experts can conduct DNA analysis to identify potential suspects. And even without the root, microscopic analysis can still help match it to a specific person, animal, or even fabric type. So how do forensic experts collect hair evidence? If hair is found at a crime scene, it should be carefully placed in a paper packet and then sealed in an envelope. This helps protect it from contamination. If microscopic examination is required, 15 to 20 hair samples from the suspect must be collected for comparison. And if DNA testing is needed, a blood sample from the suspect in a vacuum is required to match the genetic profile. Now let's talk about precautions, because handling hair evidence needs a lot of care. First and foremost, no touching with bare hands. Always use clean forceps to pick up hair strands to avoid contamination. Now after collecting the hair samples, store it in dry, sealed containers to preserve it properly for DNA or microscopic comparison. So even the teeniest hair strand can hold huge forensic value, which is why proper collection and preservation are a must. Alright, let's move on to firearm evidence. Now guns don't just leave bullets behind. They can also hold fingerprints, DNA, trace materials, and as well as ballistic markings that help connect a suspect to a crime. So how do forensic experts collect firearm evidence? First thing first, safety is the first priority. Before collecting a firearm, trained personnel must unload it and make sure it's safe to handle. Minimal handling is the key. Every touch can erase fingerprints or transfer DNA, so experts need to handle it as little as possible while securing it for evidence. Once secured, the firearm is placed in a properly sized box and sent to forensic lab for deeper analysis. And if there's ammunition, it's packaged separately unless it can be removed from the firearm. Now let's talk about precautions that need to be followed. Never package a loaded firearm. It isn't just a forensic rule, it's a major safety risk. Avoid overhandling. Every unnecessary touch increases the chances of contamination or losing key evidence. And of course, maintaining the chain of custody is crucial to ensure the firearm's integrity during forensic examination. So a gun isn't just a weapon. It's a goldmine for forensic evidence when handled the right way. Then let's move on to paint and glass evidence. These tiny traces can be game changers in a forensic investigation, helping forensic experts link suspects, vehicles, or objects to a crime scene. By analyzing color, composition, layering, and fracture patterns, they can determine where a fragment came from and how it fits into the bigger picture. So how do forensic experts collect paint and glass evidence? For paint evidence, paint fragments are carefully placed in a paper packet and then sealed in an envelope to prevent loss or contamination. If a suspect's vehicle or object is involved, forensic experts collect representative paint samples for comparison in the lab. And for glass evidence, small glass pieces go into a paper packet and then into a sealed envelope. Larger fragments are wrapped in a paper or cardboard and placed in a padded box to prevent further breakaging during transport. Now let's talk about the precautions. Never store paint or glass fragments in plastic bags. Moisture can cause degradation, making the evidence unreliable. And then we need to handle the glass carefully, not just to preserve the evidence, but also to avoid injuries, because let's be honest, no one wants to deal with unexpected cuts. Alright, now let's talk about question documents. These aren't just ordinary papers. They can hold key forensic evidence in cases of fraud, forgery, ransom notes, and even identity theft. So why are question documents so important? They help forensic experts determine authenticity and forgery by analyzing handwriting, signatures, ink, paper, and printing techniques. A simple signature comparison or ink analysis can link a suspect directly to a crime. So how are these documents collected? Minimal handling is the key. The less they are touched, the better. This prevents contamination. Photograph or scan the document before collecting it. This ensures there's a reference in case the original gets damaged. Storage matters. Documents are kept in flat, rigid folders or plastic document protectors to avoid creases, folds, or tears. Now, if an ink analysis is required, forensic experts also collect known written samples from the suspects for comparison. Now, there are some precautions that are to be followed here as well. Never fold, staple, or write on the document. Any extra markings could alter the key evidence. Also avoid direct handling. If necessary, forensic experts use gloves, forceps to pick up the document safely. Proper storage is crucial. Documents are kept in a climate-controlled environment to prevent ink fading, moisture damage, or even degradation over time. Alright, now let's step into shoe print evidence. Shoe prints aren't just random marks on the ground. They can link a suspect to a crime scene by matching them to a specific pair of shoes. Investigators can even use them to figure out what type of footwear they should be looking for when searching for a suspect's house or belongings. Pretty cool, right? Now, how do forensic experts collect shoe evidences? First thing first, photography is the key. Before touching the print, forensic experts take high-quality photos using a tripod, ruler, and level to make sure the print is properly scaled and lit. Now, what if the print is on a soft surface like mud or sand? In that case, it is cast using dental stone. Once it hardens, it creates a solid mold of the shoe print. What about prints on hard surfaces like tiles or concrete? Those can be lifted just like fingerprints using dusting powders or even electrostatic dust print lifter. Now, the electrostatic dust print lifter is a special tool that picks up the invisible prints from the floors. So once the casts are fully hardened, they are carefully packaged in a paper and sent to the lab for further analysis. Now, the precautions that has to be followed are: watch your step. The last thing you want is to accidentally destroy a perfect shoe print. Lighting is everything. Proper side lighting helps make hard surface prints more visible in the photographs. Also, patience is the key. Cast impressions must be fully hardened before packaging, otherwise they could break before reaching the lab. Alright, now the last type of evidence is bite mark evidence. Bite marks might not be the first thing you think of when it comes to forensic evidence, but they can be crucial in cases like sexual assaults and violent crimes. A bite mark left on a victim's skin can help link a suspect to the crime through dental analysis, which is kind of like fingerprint but with teeth. Now, how do forensic experts collect bite mark evidences? First, it's all about photography. Bite marks are photographed using a ABFO number 2 scale. The picture you see here, it's that scale, which is a special forensic ruler. Now these photographs are to be done under normal light, side lighting, UV light and alternative light sources. This helps capture every possible detail. Now if the bite mark have left a deep impression on the skin, forensic experts might even make a cast of it for further analysis. And for proper comparison, dental cast and bite impressions of both the suspect and the victim might be taken. This helps experts match the bite pattern to a specific individual. Now what are the precautions that must be taken? Also here lighting matters. Always take high quality photographs under different lighting conditions to capture all detail of the bite mark. Some old bite marks may not be clearly visible. That's where UV light comes in handy to reveal hidden details. And for proper analysis and interpretation, a forensic odontologist should always be consulted. And with that, we have reached the end of this video. But before we wrap up, let's take a moment to appreciate the role of forensic evidence in solving crimes. Every fingerprint, DNA trace, and fiber tells a story, one that forensic experts must uncover with precision and care. Proper evidence collection is not just a routine process, it's the foundation of solving crimes and ensuring justice. By following scientific methods, forensic experts must prevent contamination, maintain integrity, and enhance forensic analysis. But let's not forget the challenges. Evidence degradation, chain of custody issues, and legal roadblocks can all impact an investigation. That's why accurate documentation, secure storage, and ethical handling are negotiable in forensics. When handled correctly, evidence has the power to bring justice to victims, hold criminals accountable, and ensure fair verdicts in court. So the next time you watch a crime show or hear about a solved case, remember, it all comes down to how well the evidence was collected and preserved. So this marks the end of this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this information useful. Stay curious, stay informed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.